Alrighty. Folks. Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Howdy doody. Good to see you. It's like Christmas Eve. It's like Christmas Eve, everybody. It's the, I'm sorry about the pings. Guys, the story of how we went live today is a story of trial, tribulation, gnashing of teeth, and anger towards the sky. Xfinity's, they're up there as like one of my most hated companies. I think they're on a lot of people's list. Xfinity, Comcast, in general. In order to get in contact with them, let me tell you guys how this works. So we have our own internet service because we're in my parents' house and they have an internet, but we're not going to stream off that. So we have our own internet service in the same house, right? Two accounts, one house. But on the website, if you tell them, I want to go to my account support, they'll send you to the address account. So whichever one was signed up first. So there's no way for us to go to the website and check our own router and see what's going on. Also, the third-party speed tests weren't working. Also, our internet dropped out for no reason for like 2 minutes. So all of this is going on, right? And we're sitting here being like, okay, well, basically our job isn't possible because this internet provider is just they're not doing their job. Let's call them, right? First thing I tried to do is call the store. Store's closed. Doesn't open till 10 a.m. That's fair. It's a holiday weekend. I'll give you that. But there's no number to call. So I'm like, okay, let's go to the app. I've got the app, you know, this nice app. Everybody's got to make their own app because they've got their own support and they do their own stuff. We could talk about Star Citizen, but it's story time. And I kid you not, the app is an AI that tells you that they're going to send you on a call, but they never do. And then when we finally found somebody who would call us, they forwarded me back to the bot on the phone. And they were like, I'm going to send you to our backend team who's taking care of this. And then forwarded me to one of those phone advisors. It's like you can't talk to humans anymore. It was awful. So I'll get through it. We could talk about Star Citizen, but that was the wonderful morning of getting this all going. And I'm glad that we were able to get to the end of it because we finally have a stream. And we're going to talk about AI today. It's going to be actually a pretty good talk because AI is going to become a really big topic next year. Like, up until now, the only AI we've known have been combat AI, but we can see that there are industrial game loops coming online, and server meshing being something that might stabilize servers means they can depend more on AI. And I think it's going to, you know, even with just the Squadron 42 stuff that came around, it's going to become a bigger thing in terms of, like, ships we see flying around. How many of you all were, back in the day, I think it was 2018, 2019 maybe, when they briefly turned on ships landing in Lorville. And then they were like, whoa, that's not working very well. We'll turn that off. And we've never had NPC traffic besides that, right? They even showed us that they had like the splines where the ships would come in and land on the planet and then take off and fly back out. And they were like, it's like, yeah, this is cool. This is going to make the game work a lot better. But it's one of those things that we never really saw. So I think that's kind of the sort of thing we're going to start to see now that the servers can handle more load. These streams sponsored by Xfinity. Oh my god. I think I would have lost that sponsorship now. The glass sword. Thank you for the super chat though. I appreciate you. Yeah, Xfinity sucks. I honestly, I can't believe that. I can't believe they actually sent me to a live. No. This is the worst part. I'm sorry. I was on the app chat, right? And I finally was able to make a call to the bot that usually sends you to a certain department. And when I kept saying operator, it sends me a link. And so I clicked the link and that sent me back to the app. That was the circle that they sent me through. How did I fix it? We finally got, Mrs. Tomato had to go on like 6 different websites with sketchy numbers, and we found some number that said that it would connect us to a Comcast store. And then I just told them, hey, I don't know who you are, but like, can you send me to whoever can fix this? They didn't. They told me it'd get fixed, and then they sent us to a bot, but then 2 minutes later it started working. So clearly it was their fault. Yell at it until it works. It's the best way to do it, or blow on it. Have you guys, who's watched this already? This is the AI chat they did last week on Star Citizen Live. I'm gonna throw in a little bit of context. You know how it is. Little tomato sauce on top to keep it nice and moist. I shouldn't say that. Let's say to keep it hearty. Tomatoes are hearty, right? So tomato sauce to keep it hearty. Umami, if you will. We're not gonna go with moist. Let's see if we have any. Oh god. Juicy. Juicy works. Tomato sauce to keep it juicy. It's better than moist. I know moist is one of those words, you know? It's like you turn off a movie if they say that. you cancel the whole studio. I'm not watching any more A24 movies because they opened with moist sounds. I think I have some AI. I'm just stalling right now so you guys can have some entertainment while I find this. This is the clip I was talking about. There's always a video clip. So this was some of the like AI landing on planets that they wanted to show us. Hold on, why am I not recording this? I always do that. So this is some of like the AI stuff that they were showing back in, I think 2021. Looks like that's what the date says. And these people, it was basically, oh yeah, there's traffic. There's ships that'll come down to the planet and they'll fly back up to space and you'll see them and it'll be cool. And then we actually saw more of that recently. I want to say, gosh, what was it, last year maybe? 22? 21? When they showed like the AI dropship object avoidance stuff. It's got to be here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. So like this is supposed to be AI flying and it's not super impressive stuff, but they've kind of been working on it. So I'm hoping they talk about that today. Stop with the adjectives. You don't like my adjectives? Service in your area may be interrupted. Xfinity. Is Xfinity just speaking to me through super chats today? Is this a campaign? Appreciate you, Ken. Thank you for the super chat. Or Xfinity, if that's you. Here we have a Space Tomato cooking live. Mrs. Tomato will be cooking live for you when we get back to our place in Turkey. You can expect that. I'll sous chef. Yes, chef. Yes, chef, more pepper. Yes, chef, crack the egg. Yes, chef, Star Citizen ships. Yes, chef, Santakyai, in your hangar. I'll do a great job at that. Hasta pasta. Oh yeah, we'll get there. We'll get a good cooking stream going. But before that, how about we talk about AI? Thank you everybody for joining me today. We are going to be rolling through this like we normally do. If you've never been to one of these, it's kind of a reaction, also kind of a deep dive. I'll probably whip out some footage or we'll jump into some earlier videos if a reference comes up. I'll try to add some context if they say something. And, you know, snarky content. A little bit of sass. A couple comments that... couple controversial comments, and a whole bunch of fun. We'll be chatting in chat as well, so chat if you chat, and if you like to chat, then chat, please. In chat, of course, and let's get started. Cheers, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of, which show is this? Star Citizen Live. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee. We're back. We've been off for a couple weeks. Last week was the UK Manchester office Christmas party, where everybody was gathered to answer trivia questions, pub quiz style, and drink a not insignificant amount of alcohol. Just want to say that as far as the pub quiz contest, more than 50 teams. It's a big office, and yours truly came in third. Not my best. Not my best outing, but well, so much beyond what Dave and his team did. What place did you get in, Dave?
There was a 4 in it.
Yeah, there was a 4 in it at the front. So that just, I want to say, Aaron, if you're watching, and I know you are, reading the place of every single team.
I love that. There's a 4 in it at the front.
For like 15 minutes. Was amazing. And just watching Dave's team sit there waiting for them to hear their team's name, and it just never came for like 15 minutes. It was amazing. A masterstroke, Aaron, and I loved it. And then before that, we were at Bar Citizen Dublin, which was fantastic. Great chance to meet the folks out there. And then before that, Bar Citizen Milan, tremendous. Yeah, so we're back. We're back for our last show of the year. And joining us on this week's show. That's one heck of an intro. Not a good one, just in length. We have members from our esteemed AI teams.
I love a heckin' intro, you know?
We have,
It's good
let's
times.
let you introduce yourselves. Fran, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Francesco Roccucci, and I'm the director in CIG.
And what studio are you in?
I'm in the Frankfurt office.
I would say
How is
Francesco.
it over there?
Francesco is one of those people that I know I've seen throughout the years, but I can never remember the name of. I gotta remember his name. Because every time he's come on, he's always presented something pretty interesting.
It's pretty good. I mean, everybody comes over, that really love it. They love the studio. I think, Andrew, I'm not sure. Have you
Can
ever
see him
been
in the
here,
back over here.
Diego,
Yeah.
you've been. It's a nice studio. We have a nice view, of Frankfurt. It's lovely.
Did you guys have your-
It's a
you
bit
guys have your-
cold, but
Did you guys have
not
your
too
holiday
bad
party?
either. What is it?
Did you guys have your holiday party?
Oh yeah, same day as the UK studio. We gathered here in the studio. It was quite nice. We made a Christmas tree together. So I put like a very nice decoration on top of the tree during the evening.
Yeah.
And it was chill. It was really nice.
Andrew, the camera was switching over to you for some reason. So you go next. Who are you and what do you do, Andrew?
Hi, I'm Andrew Davis. I'm lead of the AI feature team, and I'm based in Manchester. And I'm very jealous of your third place team ranking in the Christmas quiz, because our team also came third. We came bottom, bottom from three. I think we were literally the third from the bottom, and I feel robbed because I know we did really well on some questions, and I think we were harshly marked by one of the other teams. So I was very proud of our team name as well.
They got bones to pick, dude.
Which was proper boss, because we've been
Like,
talking about some boss.
Imagine the graphics team is like kind of giving they're trying to take a shot at the art team, because the art team's always trying to buff light distances, and the graphics team's like, stop. So they make it worse for them. They make it harder. That's how you get them back. It's during the Christmas party. Everybody knows that.
Boss fights on the AI. So and it's also a Scouse saying, which I love because Liverpool's near.
Gotcha. All right, and then finally, last but not least, Diego, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
So I'm the AI programmer focusing on the flight combat, and I'm also based in Manchester. And for the quiz, we didn't do too well. Well, I didn't do too well because it was all about British culture questions, and I didn't know much about it. But I got Ferrero Rocher, so that's good.
Hey, I mean, come on, I'm American. I'm a product of the American education system. Somehow I made it through. What was your team name?
Vehicle Renegades.
That's why you guys struggled. Our team was Quiz Roberts' Wing Commander, and that's why we excelled as well as we did.
Quiz
But
Privates
shout out
Roberts.
to the Studio Experience team. The first place team was the Studio Experience team, the folks who basically make it possible for us to work and make the office a wonderful place to be. Their team came in first. So congratulations, everybody. They have a little cup that they now have to carry around, and we'll take our chance at winning it next year. All right, so that was a very, very long intro. We're going to jump into it. So this week's show, we have a number of different formats for the show here. On this week's show, it's one of our Ask the Devs things. So now that we're done with the part where I just chat and talk to them, we're now putting your questions directly to our developers. So we put up a thread.
Y'all remember calling all devs? Calling all devs is like a product of the time, but I'm okay with us not doing it anymore, because it really, after a while, it's like getting answers to questions is nice, but having them every single week and not seeing, like, a lot of those questions were repeats month after month, year after year, and not seeing the progress on them, but still seeing the same questions, I feel like it really emphasized how slow some of the progress was. As opposed to if you just watched ISC, you'd be only seeing the stuff that was actually being worked on and would be coming in the next year. It's like you get a different perspective when you're doing a Q&A with devs, when they can answer something that might not happen for 5 years. And I feel like that was probably changing the way people were thinking about the game a little bit. It's probably good that we don't have it anymore, but I miss that. We had some really... It also helps answer questions that new backers don't know about. We always complain about how people come into this game not knowing what it's about, and calling out devs helped with that. But yeah, the way it set expectations. Watching the night sky light up with lasers and seeing the distant explosions of ships was a sight to behold. You're talking about what's it called? Jumptown. Yeah, that was good times. 10 for the Chairman was the same way. Yep, indeed. Quite a few of the things they've done are the same way. That's part of the whole open development thing, right? You got to figure it out.
By prefacing the question with the word question in capital letters surrounded by brackets. That's going to help me to pull it out from all the other detritus that goes on in Twitch chat. You know who you are. Vara schon Socken. All right, so jumping into the questions right now. He's a good person. I don't know why I picked on him. It's just a thing I do. So first question, you had to know this was going to come. This is one of those perennial AI questions that come in there. Server FPS. Everybody knows that AI performance is directly and inextricably linked in many ways to server FPS. This question is
Thanks
simply,
for saying it. It's nice to hear CIG say it too.
what minimum server FPS is required for the AI to function as intended?
30.
I mean, maybe I can start there. I think obviously, as we said several
That'd be
times,
crazy.
yes, it is very correlated. The server FPS, server performance without AI functions right now. Just because basically, imagine like you are playing a game at that FPS. It's like the type of refresh rate of the knowledge of the AI or the decision making that they do, right? So if we play at 3 frames per second, then obviously for the eye, it's kind of about a slideshow, right? And in addition to that, what I think sometimes we don't always make clear is that we don't want to bog down when the server is low in performance. We obviously don't want to do more calculation to try to catch up because that would make it even more slow, right? So we have a lot of our systems are spread over a certain amount of frame calculation. For example, Pathfinder is a very expensive calculation that usually AI does. And obviously we don't want to do one full path calculation for every single AI every frame. That would just be too much. So usually Pathfinder on games is made as time slice, what we say. So it goes through a request and goes through multiple frames to return you something. So the less the frames, the longer it also takes to do some of this stuff, right? So this is why. And just also to be clear, not all the issues that you guys see is live sometimes are always related to FPS performance. Some are not.
Yeah, sometimes your work just sucks.
Exactly, right? Sometimes we have just some bugs as well on our side, and we work hard to fix those. So obviously the one that are right now, usually the engine works pretty bad under 5 frames per second. We have other issues with animation system and stuff like this when it goes under 5 frames per second. We don't see very big problems where it's around, well, I think obviously more than 10 would be, the ideal, let's say, to have something decent. Over 8, 9 frames per second, usually the eye can function decently. Between 5 and 8, it's start to struggle a bit. Because again, all those
That's like where we sit. It's like between 3 and 6 is where at least where we used to sit. I think it's running a little bit better now.
Pile up a bit more, right? So it's not just about the frame rate, but it's also because this creates this kind of slow response to other systems, right? For example, raycast of perception or environment analysis, again, pathfinding once again. So basically we are working towards changing a little bit of some of these patterns so that we can support better FPS in the new year. Especially we're going to focus on some of those improvements so that we are going to be less reliant on extremely good server performance. But obviously I think there are two parallel initiatives in the engine, right, or in the company. That is, one is trying to figure out how to make this faster overall, right? Because it's not just an AI issue if the server goes at 5 frames per second. This is gonna cause multiple issues on lots of systems, right? The guy sees problems with the elevators or problem with spawning that takes much longer because obviously even spawning takes longer if the frame rate is very low and there is like too much work happening in the background.
That's really good if they're trying to decouple AI from FPS like that. That would actually be a pretty big deal because that's what's really been holding back a lot of the game moving forward is AI can't do anything. Like we can't even have an AI person follow us around the game. And if they can manage to make AI run a little bit better, even if server meshing isn't coming in and helping with relieving some of the load, or whatever needs to happen rather to relieve some of that load, then that would be great. Because we've seen before as we looked at plenty of times on this channel, um, we've got plenty of situations where we know they've worked on AI functioning in the past. AI specifically that can follow you, and AI that can take direction from you and go into specific ships. This is the work they've been doing for passenger transport, but obviously you can see how this would be applied everywhere else. And I think the only thing they're really waiting for here is for the servers to be able to more easily support the AI, because the logic is all there from what we're seeing. So happy to hear if they're trying to decouple that from the server FPS. That means that they have another avenue of optimizing the game, making it run a little bit better. Wonder why they all not seem too worried about this FPS at all. They just like, yeah, we need to optimize, sort of. Because that's really all it is. A lot of the problems that people perceive as big issues with Star Citizen are like optimization problems, which isn't easy per se, but like, it's not like they don't know what those problems are. The problems that are scaring them are probably like server meshing and I don't know, like Maelstrom maybe applications. But when it comes to, oh, the AI doesn't run well, they know why not. They just can't exactly fix it yet. If you are looking to do suggest an event, I would send that over to Frenchie or Drazen rather than myself. Hello, Luna Maria. Good to see you. Guessing there's been no revisiting on each starter package. A player has given access to a dedicated AI NPC personnel for any and all ships in their fleet. I haven't heard of that yet. You wonder how the FPS will be when all these large capital ships come in. I think it's going to be what I always hoped that, well, I hope it's going to be what I had always hoped 2142 would be, Battlefield. Boarding a ship and fighting your way to the center of it. Very cool stuff. Hip stuff, as I like to say. Held the line kind of stuff.
So basically we have these two initiatives, right? Like one that is like making sure the server goes as fast as possible, and the other one is making sure that our systems can cope with as best as possible with low frame rate. Having different ideas, it's not necessarily important to share them all right now, but this is more what that's what it is. But on an additional note, I think some stuff that me and Andrew especially have been working on in the last weeks, it was also to fix some of those bugs that are basically giving you this impression of not responding, but doesn't mean necessarily they're really not responding, right? So myself, I was looking at one bug with Andrew, we fixed 2-3 situations like this, where maybe the behavior gets into this kind of strange loop. One was, and I think most of you guys that are fighting with FPS have seen those. That is like you're fighting with some, and then some of the AI might just look at you and not shoot at you, but they would aim at you in some situations, right? One that I fixed, I think maybe Andrew, you can share the one that you fixed. But for example, one that I was looking at was this situation where we were updating not correctly our attention target. So they were thinking they were searching for somebody, they killed somebody. They thought that their attention target in that moment was dead, but then they were targeting you. So they thought that you were dead and they were starting to investigate. And those are type of things that we fix all the time, right? And we want to make it better overall. So I don't know, Andrew, just...
Yeah, one of the ones I was looking at recently was that we have certain reaction animations that play before they attack you, and we had this in the scripting language. It was receiving a value and waiting for that value to go up, but because of the specific requirements of the multiplayer system, when you're online, that there could be a lot number of frames before it next checks this value, this alertness level value, and it was going up and not then recognizing it had gone up, so it was forever waiting for this value not to go up, and that was causing sometimes these characters to just get stuck in a state where they were like, oh, I'm going to respond, no, nothing's changed. So that took a while to track down, because I think we're kind of narrowing down more and more cases where like smaller and smaller issues that we don't see regularly, and that's a really good thing that we kind of able to focus more in on those little bugs that happen. Like, oh, these sometimes it was 1 in 10, now it's 1 in 100. Wow, it's smaller and smaller, but we're improving the gameplay each time.
Okay, and bringing up all the improvements we've done for Squadron as well into Vue also allows us to stress test those behavior a bit in slightly different environment, right? With more targets, more scenarios where you have, I don't know, defend mission with friendly characters that you need to not to save while there are enemies around and so on and so on. So I think like obviously we also find sometimes some of those different scenarios, that we can stress test more.
No, it's cool. And when I make a joke
All right, check this out, guys. The stuff they're talking about is the stuff I think it's the stuff we've been reading about. I don't know exactly which monthly reports they are. These might be a little bit off, but let's check in on the AI here. They did some crazy stuff when it comes to AI perception. They've done a really good job. Would that be January, February, maybe? They've done some crazy stuff. Like, I think there are other games that do this kind of stuff when it comes to AI, but, whew, it's pretty impressive stuff. Let me see if here is where they're talking about it. It's a lot of perception kind of things. No, it actually might have been more of 2022 sort of stuff. Navigation side, perception, no. Yeah, I think this is all too new. It might have actually been 22. It's impressive that we haven't seen any of it come into the game yet. Dynamic path finding, alternative routes, trees falling, vehicle stoppings, fire hazards. First stage of this, implementing anchor structures, Apollo subsumption, flow graphs, AI behaviors. No. Where is this stuff? Bed relaxation, bed sheets 2.0, anybody? CRJ beds. Are you kidding me? After seeing like the Squadron 42 trailer and the part where the lady's like opening the medicine cabinet and getting the pills out, and you see how like actually ridiculously detailed their animations are, it makes sense that they're working on detailed bedsheet animations for that game. Which is what we were saying at the time, but seeing it, I guess, makes it make more sense. At least to me. This is all collision avoidance. They did a lot of navigation stuff this year, and I guess that's kind of what they're also talking about here. For anybody wondering, these are the monthly reports. They release these every month, except for the last month of the year. And then they won't release one, I think. They don't release November and December's until February, I believe. Or they release them together in January. I don't know. But they release these every month to show the kind of progress across the studios throughout the year. This is the kind of stuff that I think helps clarify that they're actually doing work. But that's not what we're looking for. Let me go back to 2022. I think that is where we want to be. Let's hit up July of 2022. It's crazy. Time is crazy, You're like, hey, don't worry. Star Citizen will be this, and this in 2 years. And then 2 years will go by and you're like, was that 2 years ago I said that? Context-specific animations. Perception, yes. Okay, so 2023, year of navigation for AI. 2022 seemed like the year of perception. Check this out. So... well, first they're talking about traits here, which we actually saw with the Squadron 42 demonstrations, how they have different types of AI traits. But here they said perception work has continued with the team supporting the stealth gameplay loop by allowing the player to wear specific clothes to disguise themselves in different environments. Like, okay, Star Hitman? Are there other games that do that where you can hide by disguise? I mean, there must be. Sly Cooper was one. I remember that. The designer can configure which clothing works for each faction and location so that a successful disguise combines both player actions and the configurations of the NPCs in the environment. This to say probably that there will be higher level, like the characters that are ranked higher or stuff in the faction can spot you better. The perception meter for detecting a player as a foe is then influenced by this parameter, giving the player more time to sneak into areas, especially when at a distance from the enemies. To support the scaling of perception ranges and times, new wildlines were integrated to signal this new gameplay. So when he's talking about like the idea that they are these AI would look at a character and like their aggression would rise, but their animations wouldn't kick in, so they wouldn't actually do anything, and then they just all happen at once and shoot you and kill you immediately. I think this is part of that. I don't know if this system is actually in, but this is one of those crazy ways they're trying to make the AI work a lot more naturally. And being able to sneak past them because of a disguise is pretty cool. I don't know when that's going to end up happening. Just as a little aside, some more of the perception stuff. They also began aligning the existing perception systems to a new design where the perception meter rises depending on different stimuli. This includes hearing footsteps or gunfire, seeing a target, or etc., and it falls over time. Once different threshold levels on the meter are hit, they trigger different alertness levels that determine specific reaction animations and behaviors from the AI. For example, at the lowest level, the AI will react by simply turning their head towards the stimulus. At the middle level, they will investigate the stimulus, and at the highest level, they will enter combat. Stimuli can also impact the meter in different ways based on the conditions of the target, including whether they're crouched or standing and in the locations, and the location's lighting. So this is like, they're getting very heavy on stealth stuff, and we've seen a little bit of that when we were looking at, when they were showing us the Squadron 42 footage. They kind of hinted at some of the stealth, like these little segments where you're sort of walking through the dark and quiet areas. There's one really good one. Like really good, obvious stealth section. But yeah, stealth is going to be a big part of Squadron 42, and most of the stuff that we're hearing about, at least right now, is mainly Squadron 42. But that's coming over to Star Citizen at some point, and it's going to be scary, I imagine. Like, I'm already not really much of a stealth person. I don't know about you guys. When I get into a stealth situation, I don't do the best. And when it comes to space and aliens and creepy ass things, not a big fan. But yeah, that's perception.
About sometimes their work sucks. Be sure to switch back to my camera so they can see that I'm joking, because otherwise it just sound like a jerk.
No, but I think it is kind of interesting.
Sometimes your work does suck, I know.
All of those things. I hope it kind of, what do you like? You know, it gave like a nice overview of this.
No, it's great.
Server FPS.
No, honestly, it was a better answer than I originally expected from the question, because you went into different use cases and everything. No, it's great. You covered like three. While you were going, I was thinking of like 3 different follow-ups, and then you just hit the follow-up, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't have to do that. It's one of the reasons I love having you on the show, Fran.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about, as far as like the big AI topics that people have, that, you know, obviously there's always the server frame rate one, because we've done enough of these shows that people know how linked it is. The other one is also AI blades. Basically, you know, we're building a massively multiplayer.
Oh, they're gonna open up the AI blades conversation. Okay, let's see how this goes. This should be interesting.
Online universe here, and not everybody can always bring their friends where they want to be. As these ships get bigger and they have more turrets and stuff like this, the idea of inserting AI blades into the computer as like into the ship as a component, so that turrets can be automated and stuff, has been one of those oldest dreams we've had about these larger multi-crew ships. What, if any, progress do we have on that? Has there been any progress on AI blades? What can you tell us at this point?
Diego,
I can say this one, yeah. I think the technology is already there, because I know a lot of people, you know, they make the question, is it a concept? Is it already working? We've got the technology there. We're currently using that in-game at the moment for some capital ships, and even for the turrets that you see in the bunkers or outside the stations. We essentially have this AI module that communicates with various items in the game, like the flight controller, and they can pass inputs to it. Same with the turrets. In terms of bringing it to the players, I think, Francesco, you probably can answer that better.
I mean, yeah, I think we have even some ATCs actually using the AI module in Star Citizen since quite a while, I think. Because basically, I think the idea is that we have this, like, as everything in the spaceships world, right, where you have items attached to other items, we do have this special item that we call AI module that is kind of a blade. What in the lore is a blade.
Yeah.
And basically, it can execute exactly logic, right? It can run specific logic for the operation that it needs to perform. And I think right now, basically, I think yes, we're gonna wrap up these things a bit better. And I think majority of the work obviously is how we want to expose it to the players, how you can buy them, you can take them and attach them to your ship. So it's a lot more now about how the player interaction, the player loop is going to be on the blades. But basically on the eye side, we did have enough progress in the past years, basically to have that pretty much ready, to have all the basic functionality to support that functionality on our side. So obviously, yeah, again, our feature needs to be wrapped around a lot of teams, not just the AI functionality, and that's where we are at right now. But yeah, and yeah,
It's like the answer with most of these things. Like Rastar is kind of in the same place. I feel like they want to get moving on base building and they have the tech for it, but there's a lot of support that needs to be done. It's like Salvage when they made it. Yeah, the gameplay teams have to do all their work and design, but then also the audio teams and like the QA have to get their hands on it, and SFX and the missions team, and all these people have to do all this stuff. And the stars kind of have to align, especially for something as big as AI blades, I guess. Makes sense. Just like this is a pretty standard answer with these types of things.
AI module, again, bright blades that control a turret, blades that can control the piloting seats, blades that can control, and you can, as everything that we do, right? These we run just our subsumption behaviors. That means that we can apply traits, we can apply skill levels to those. So you can buy, a good blade, a bad blade, and the designers can configure what a good blade means, or what a bad blade means, or a good turret blade that is maybe hitting more often because you paid more money. I don't know, or like a pilot one that is different personalities of that blades, right? So that you can also do special maneuver and that costs more, or the one that does just.
What I'm wondering is how does a blade differ from an NPC AI? If I have a turret that you can put a blade in, or rather, if you have a blade that auto lands your ship, how is that different from hiring an NPC to auto land? I mean, I guess the NPC would require payment and living conditions. So this would be better for ships maybe that don't have as many beds. And they probably are going to be more rudimentary than an NPC, I would think. I do hope they get into that though, because obviously if you can just do this without hiring an NPC, then what's the point? And I guess that really comes down to how they handle the computer components.
It's a bit more conservative and a bit more, just that can help you piloting your ship. Maybe you're not even gonna fight that much, and then you can just want to have something that you can control and give commands to autopilot somewhere, and this is what we can be.
Yeah, the opportunities for this are varied. I mean, there are many. Like, if you've watched any Star Citizen content creator live stream or YouTube video over the last 11 years, you've seen discussions of what AI blades could allow folks to do. Even just the simplest idea of being able to jump into a hammerhead by yourself and just have 4 blades running the turrets and just be like, hey, if anything's hostile, destroy it. That's all I want. Absolutely. Just wait until it's hostile, but the second I mark something hostile, just please target that crap and blow it up. Just the simplest kind of modules can add a lot of longevity and variety to the game. And then of course, like you talk about, the different variations. Some are good, some are bad, some have different traits, some are more aggressive, some are more defensive, stuff like this. And there's even like storytelling possibilities with the mission system. You developed, imagine the best AI blade ever was actually manufactured 50 years ago in the history, and they don't make them anymore. But there's still several of them buried out across the universe, and they can be found and revamped, and then so it's not even necessarily you have to spend more money to have the better stuff. Absolutely. You can go find and discover the better stuff. Like that, the opportunities are endless, and we've been talking about this for a long time. It's one of the things that I'm most excited about as Star Citizen continues into 2024 and beyond. And this is not me saying that AI blades are coming next year. You've gotten all the what's coming next year from me yesterday. There's more, but that's all I'm willing to talk about is yesterday. But when this stuff comes online, it'll be another fundamental change to space combat in the Precision universe. So I think we're all very excited for when that can come. Let's just hit some of our big, let's hit some of our all-timers here. We've got Server FPS, we've got AI Blades, creatures. Let's hit creatures. Everybody is awaiting the day to go into an ice cave on
whales.
or whatever.
Come on.
And find a big giant boreal stalker there to rip their arms off, or even just the space cows that we showed at CitizenCon or in the Star Engine video. What
Space cow.
progress?
I think I got a
Can you
boreal
tell us about
boreal stalker for you here.
the state of AI creatures? Is this something near, far? Where are we? What can you tell us?
I'm. You said you were excited for Blades. My team are very excited.
This guy will be on Microtech.
Working on creatures. We've already started quite a lot. We've got some work that we've already developed for Squadron 42 that we're bringing forward, and we're expanding on a different range of creatures with lots of different attributes that I can't really talk about too much.
Not yet.
But
Wow, a different
We got
range.
a bit about the
we're,
quasi
we're definitely starting with the quasi-graz. So that's been a fun one, seeing that move. At the moment we've got it's jiggling up and down, so we've got to solve that issue. But it's definitely something that we're working on right now, and we're excited to be working on.
Which
Yeah,
one?
obviously, what we saw in the demo there is an actual quasi-grays moving around the planet. It's really like the work that we've started on and that you guys have seen live, like in the video from CitizenCon, that it's an actual creatures that we're working on.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say, that, without me getting in trouble,
Let's see if I can find it.
there are multiple creatures currently in development. We showed the star whale, and we've shown the quasi-graz. Is that what I just called space cow? Is it
Quasi-grays?
Quasi-grazer?
Or something like this.
Something like
The
that?
quasi-gray.
I feel like it
Wow,
had a different
it's right
name at some
here.
point.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I'm shit with names. So, but we've shown
cow
those,
guys.
but there's actually a host of different creatures, both aggressive and not, that are currently in development. And
Honestly, that's pretty wild. I mean,
when I
we've seen
talked yesterday
Jesus.
about things that we were waiting for you,
Okay.
we'll let you guys discover on your own. That's probably
multiple videos going on here. We've seen some. Hold on, we've got a Oh man, I know we can find more examples of the animals that they've worked on. I know we can. Come on, we got that video here somewhere. Bear with me, y'all. Fauna.
Natural environment where the environment
No. Stand by. It's gonna happen. It's like 2019. I think actually we could probably go on their page and find it. Let's see. Search for fauna and see if that does anything. Look at that. Resources, right? All right. So here's when they originally talked about these guys. This is back in 20.
different approaches
This is 2020. So imagine like where they were at this point talking like this and where they must be now, because we're looking at all of the things that they're developing now. Everything that they talked about at 2020. In fact, like, hold up. Let me pull up a video from 2020 just so we have an idea of like what the scale was back then, because they were doing colonial outposts back then. They were talking about towns and cities and stuff, and the things they were presenting to us were like very not complete compared to what we have right now. Like, here's what colonialism outposts were looking like back in 2020. If it ever loads. Come on,
identify
Xfinity.
any sort of structure type that might
Oh, by the way, this is actually really funny.
even be used to help identify
It's a funny little Easter egg for those who don't know. They actually snuck one of the creatures in right here. You can see it. Check this out. We freaked the heck out about this when it happened too. I remember when they did this. If you look at the picture of this little thing, you can see that that's basically it, right? You can even see the little leg on the back here. Same curved shape as right here. So like, we know that they have been trickling these in, and you can see back then, this is what outposts were looking like, and we know what they look like now much better than this. So if we're going to go into this episode, just imagine what it must look like 3 years from here.
At the beginning, you could start off doing something simple, for example, like fireflies or little rodents or things that are, fairly simple from an AI perspective. That could be one approach. In the past, we created a void in that same kind of vein. Later on, we started exploring things like the space cows and the space whales. And while those are still going to happen, we are now focused on something that hopefully players and developers alike get a little more excited about, and that would be predator creatures. The first steps of creating predator creatures, where do you get going? For us, we decided to pick some archetypes that gave us at least some sort of direction, and these archetypes are more animal behaviors than they are necessarily visual.
Ape boy.
But this allowed us just to have some focus rather than just complete blue sky, anything. That sometimes is extremely difficult for a concept artist without having any direction. So what we did in archetypes was we found some archetypes and we named them like bear and tiger and crab, things like this. But these are not to say that's what they want to look like necessarily. These are more about what the thing might do. Like a bear, for example, might be content to eat fruit and not bother you unless you messed with it, versus, let's say, a pure carnivore like a tiger that's a stealthing up and kills prey, and that's how it lives. So these just gave us a starting point where we could start making initial concepts. And as with any concepts, we're going to make a lot more concepts than we're actually going to make final models of. So after a couple rounds of reviews, we distilled down some of the ideas we were most excited about. From there, we decided to focus first on 2 different predators from that group. First being a creature that we might encounter in the pyro system. This is a creature that we're terming the pyro crab. So she's kind of a queen of a hive, and we'll have some sort of baby ones that all have some bioluminescence. And one way you might encounter this is the large queen can actually hunker down and sort of disguise herself as a group of rocks, where you might end up walking right up on one and not even know it's there until it actually reveals itself. The second one we want to focus on is a creature that you would find on the planet Microtech. Microtech, being a terraformed world, has an appearance more like Earth, where you see pine trees and things like this. So we took a much different approach to the way we designed that creature. This creature we're determining is more a result of maybe some genetic manipulation.
Yeah, she's a high queen. There's got to be small swarm ones. That's what they've got here. Down underneath. I do not accept.
Of different DNA from Earth creatures. So there are some more familiar elements to this animal. So now you've seen the first 2 predators that we're going to be pursuing. What's next for us? Well, we're already working on creating a pipeline to make these things a reality in game. What that means is AI, design, animation, and characters will all come together to bring life to these things. We hope you're as excited about these as we are, and hope to show you more soon.
Dude, it's insane. Like, people don't even realize how absolutely ridiculously scaled this game is, and talk about how much money it's taken and all this stuff, when you could see that, like, yeah, they haven't actually put a lot of this stuff into the game, but you can see that the teams have been building over time. And I don't think that really started to be obvious to us until like around 2019 or so. But now we can see all of this kind of come into fruition. And if we do actually see fauna next year, in addition to seeing engineering next year and a new star map and new UI, I mean, almost all of these big things that they're adding are things that they started way back, like before the pandemic. And to see them finally getting these things into the game is like the most satisfying. I love that we can feel like they're making true progress now with this stuff.
One of those. I think unless something changes, we probably won't do a big feature on it. I think that's one of those things, like I would rather leave that for people to discover when it goes in. So we can cover it. We can look back at it later and whatever. But some things, people often ask why we cover certain things, and I see why we don't. Like we didn't cover the F8 thing. We wanted to let you guys discover that when it happened. We didn't cover Pyro Playground before, because again, we wanted to let you guys discover that as it was happening. I feel like creatures would probably be one of those. I like the idea of people just logging in one day and what the hell? There's a space cow there, or something like that. So we'll see. It's no promise, but I think I'd rather wait on that than cover it in ISC immediately. All right, next question on your list here. Replication layer. There's a lot of talk, a lot of excitement, a lot of hype about the replication layer work that's going on. Folks who follow the PTU, the Evocati, the preview channel know that they're doing a whole bunch of testing for that now. 3.22, which went out yesterday. Went out yesterday, right? Yep, which went out yesterday, has a lot of the underlying stuff for replication layer inside it, which is why in certain, when you turn on certain debug stuff, you'll see replication layer off and whatnot. It's like this. So the work's going in even now. Does that work affect AI? And if it does, how? Does it make it easier? Does it make it more difficult? Is this a good thing for you, a terrible thing for you? Talk to us about how replication layer affects your work, if any.
Oh, maybe I can start, and then you guys just interrupt me anytime. So I think basically yes, it does impact us. As everything that we do, basically every character, AI character, especially humans, right, are very much similar, and we do share a lot of stuff with the player. So we have a lot of things in common. The difference of AI is that obviously you want to have AI. Or in general, you have right now, especially you have AI authoritative on a server, right? So what it means is that the server mesh will come into different stages. First of all, we still have like the split between the replication layer and the DGS, and then you have clients, right? So what it means is that usually the first step that you will get is basically that every change that the entities that AI control that will apply are similar to other players. So they will write their own data, the replication layer, clients will read it from the replication layer directly. So that is the biggest change that we will get. And in general, all the applications that you get, all the improvements that you get from the actor code and the actor team, we get it also in a way for free, because anything that the AI can do or the player can do, but pretty much they want the AI to do it. So everything that they make as a change from the player perspective also automatically applies to the AI. What I think it will be more interesting in the new year and the new changes with the replication layer is when we will have multiple servers, and when the way this can be expanded in a way. But let's start just with the basics of the multiple servers, right? Similar to what we saw in CitizenCon with the demo from Paul. You will have characters that move across different servers, right? And this is the big difference between AI characters and NPC and player characters, right? That player characters are authoritative on your client. You guys play, your brain is the context that always keeps consistency between what you want to do and what you see the player doing it, right? But on the AI side, when we move one character from one server to another and its authority change, the big difference is that you don't only want to replicate the effects of what the guys are doing, but you also want to replicate their context of their decision making. Because if I'm fighting with you, yes, I could restart the behavior, but that means as a first step, you might just select another character. You might see a bit of discrepancy from what they're trying to do when they switch server. And the main issue is that you as a player, you will not understand, or you should not understand when you switch server. It should be irrelevant, right? So we want to have that type of experience as seamless as possible, like everything in Star Citizen.
It's not even like it's not even a question. If you notice switching servers in this game, it's going to be terrible. Because when they want to do these dynamic server meshes, we're going to be walking between servers. We could end up walking onto a space station, and that's a different server. That's not fun. The whole point of no loading screens kind of gets noticed when you hitch every time you step into a new room. It's not obviously as bad as a loading screen, but still, seamlessness is pretty important, and I think they've gone through too much work to not have that.
Be the biggest impact that we have, right? So we'll have a lot of servers, AI that might cross server at any given moment, whatever they're doing, and that needs to basically keep the consistency between what they decide to do and what they're actually doing on the multiple servers, right? So the server to server, obviously, it's a big change that we want to do. I don't know, Diego or Andrew, if you want to add anything there.
One thing I would say is we've been working on this recently. One of the challenges we've got is as things are now not all on the same server, that they've got to be replicated. And not only if, well, that's server meshing, but also when you're coming back from the replication layer, say if that server's gone down or that it's gone out of scope and you're coming back from it, you've got to restore them to the correct state so that any AI that go up and see a character on that server and then interact with that they're still getting the correct information to make decisions about what behavior they want to do. And so we've just been working on that very particular thing for a thing called the observable state, which allows us to say whether a character is dead or unconscious. And we found that because we've now split it up and it's coming back from the replication layer, it's not always getting this information updated. So you have an object that's basically in an unknown state, and then we get bugs because it's not been because that information is wrong. So that's something that we've been working on fixing to make sure that that process is all done correctly and the information is there, whether it's for server meshing or for the replication layer.
Yeah, I'm imagining hearing you guys talk about this, the idea you kill somebody and their state becomes dead, you pick up their body and you carry them over, and as you cross to another section, replication layer it brings them over, but now they're back alive.
Yeah,
it's like
or they might perceive them alive, because another thing is like you need to make the state consistent, right? So, for example, that could be even that you die, you get revived, but then your state, the eye might think that you're actually still dead, or something like this. And then what will happen is, like, again, there are some situations where you might perceive it as they are not responding, but maybe it's just like a bug about the fact that maybe the state it's correct in one side of the game, the components, but maybe they didn't get propagated correctly from the initialization order, or, for example, in this case, who owns that knowledge of that state, right? So we are trying to split it so that, we get better at the events and we can read the states better and we can propagate the events of the states much better so that things are always consistent. So
there's a question in the chat as a follow-up to the last question. S3ROG4. Will we be able to hunt creatures and sell them alive or parts of them? This isn't for you guys. S3ROG4, you and me, be nice to the animals.
I mean, it'd be pretty gnarly, right? We've got to have crafting materials there, oils and stuff.
Pet them. You see them, just be nice and see if you can pet them. And if you can't pet them,
then
go to Spectrum and write an angry thread and say, Disco told me to do this because I should be able to pet them. And I think they should be able to pet them. But be nice. Just be nice. And maybe sometime later, when we're all bored, maybe, but just be nice to the animals. Sorry.
Especially the whales. Save the space whales.
I swear, there's some people that all they want to do is go whaling. I tune into a YouTube video and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to hunt the space whales and sell their blubber. I'm like, just be nice to the whales. Just be nice.
At least in the game,
hunt them.
Respond.
Now, eventually, when space whale versus space whale, yes, they should be able to fight. Let them fight, Godzilla style.
Hunt. Come on, we talked about this just yesterday, right? They've shown us. This is all about this is all about harvesting whale barnacles, right? You can literally see it right here. Look at that. This guy's got a multi-tool. He's about to scrape this stuff off the back. We're totally going to get pieces of these animals, or at least byproducts from them to use. Let us think about it at least. Let us theory craft, Jared. Trying to unlock that space whale blubber.
We're way off the track now. What other question you have here? You have a question here about, will AI have advantages over players like using night vision? We're not going to do that one. That's a trick question. Every time we do a show with somebody, they try to bring up night vision. We know. I yelled at the guy at the chair the last time we were here with night vision. I got crap for that afterwards, but they know. They know. Just leave it at that. I said I would stop harping on night vision.
The whale exfoliation, that skincare.
I got you. Next question. AI are clearly becoming smarter and responding to more situations. but will they start communicating with each other about their actions, warning each other of threats, even if the friendly AI is outside of their vocal audio distance? Like, would they use radios? Stuff. What you got?
I could start again. Yeah, we
What if their answer was just like, no, AI will never talk?
I don't know why I sit up in my seat like that every time, but yeah, we've been making quite a lot of strides recently, joining up with lots of teams, the audio and dialogue teams, to kind of get more consistent usage of the wild lines across both Squadron 42 and in Star Citizen. And very specifically on the point to do with radios, we have quite a few of those scenarios within some of the levels in Squadron 42, but they're mainly scripted where if there's kind of stealth levels where if you get detected by them, or if you kill someone, silently do a stealth takedown, and then they discover the body and you haven't hidden it somewhere, then they'll radio on to their leader, and that changes the flow of the level from stealth to a much more combat-based level. So they've been very scripted so far. We have had quite a few discussions about making that much more systemic and generic, but we haven't got too far on that. But there definitely some great benefits to doing that, because one thing, for example, is that if you know who your squad mates are, you can know who to call out for when, for example, somebody's gone down. You'll notice if they're missing, if they're walking around a level and the response doesn't come back, that kind of stuff, and get that more systemic behavior from some of the stealth sections as well. And I'd like to see that more in Star Citizen as well. So yeah,
it also becomes important with the organization system as the organization reputation system gets further developed in Star Citizen. We talked about that a lot with Pyro. Like, a lot of the, there are going to be NPC people at Rough and Ready and stuff like this, and as you kill them or attack them and stuff, your reputation with them starts to go down and they become more aggressive and stuff. So there should of course be opportunities where you can assault one in private and nobody finds out, but there should also be situations where they get off a radio message before you kill them, and you take the necessary rep hit and stuff like that. So there's all kinds of implementations for that radio transmission ability as far as the PU goes that wouldn't necessarily be necessary in Squadron.
But also, I think in general, like the communication, we do have the communication just like in terms of feature, right? Because I think right now, if they find a dead body, right, they will go investigate, they will call out, like, even if it's not by radio, they will still call out the other ones, and that calling out is the one that basically allow the other guys to be attracted by the
It
fact
still
that something
still
happened.
doesn't really feel like they're talking to each other though. It just kind of feels like they're all yelling. There's no response. There's no, like, you don't get this active idea that they're working together. They're just like, hey, there's one over here, and the other guy's like, I'm gonna find you. And then there's a third guy around the corner. He's just like, shouldn't have come here. I'm like, okay, you guys aren't actually working together here.
Yeah.
Or, for example, we do have, hearing friendly fire and stuff like this. And these things also propagate correctly through the audio propagation that I think we maybe spoke about at a certain point. But we do have like basically the audio perception on the eye side now does respect the audio propagation. I don't know, Jared, if you remember if it's already in Star Citizen right now or not, but it's definitely like one of the things that would carry on, would bring in the next releases. And it's like we can really say, like, these are the rooms, you close the door, the audio doesn't propagate there, so the guys, you can kill somebody in a one enemy in a room that is closed, and maybe even if he screams or something like this, if the environment is doesn't allow audio to propagate, then the other ones won't be alerted, and if the door is open, they might hear it, and so on and so on. So I think this is actually
we were just looking at that here. Perception ranges and times. Where was it? Yeah, so the different stimuli, the gunfire. What month? This is July. They also began aligning existing perception. This is September. So I bet August mentions something about rooms and sound propagation. Let's see. Give me something good. Going a bit slow there, are we? AI features. These are the trait systems. Firing tokens. This is a pretty cool system too. The firing token system. Basically, when several AI are targeting the same character and want to fire, they have to request one of a limited number of shared tokens. So imagine you have 4 people against you, and there are 13 tokens that are spread amongst them. If they are successful in acquiring a token, they will be able to fire. However, if there are no tokens available, they will not be able to fire and may consider alternative behaviors such as moving to cover. This allows the team to further control the pressure placed on the player while also generating covering fire behaviors, as some characters will fire whilst others are moving. So like, they could say, okay, this gang of people have 6 firing tokens when they initially see the character, and then 13 every 10 seconds after that. And they have to like calculate that as a group. I think that's a pretty cool system. I imagine it's not an uncommon system. Nice to hear how they work, though. Not seeing the perception stuff here, though. I thought... Okay, here we go. Ensuring that escalation of threats and perception meter can be controlled by tweaking the setup in Data Forge. A new 6th sense perception range was also developed to control gameplay when the player is sneaking up behind enemy characters. The perception meter now allows the devs to generate gameplay for stealth kills, rather than stealth killing being an easy option, as the player must minimize the amount of time they're in close range before they're noticed. That's not what we're looking for. Let me try one more month. October. Oh, no. Wrong one. Skyrim Remnants never should have come here. That's it. You're right. On the perception system side, the AI team implemented functionality to allow them to rate and respond to disruptions, which are unexpected scenarios that can be resolved. For example, the lights of a room turning off or an engine being disabled. So if you like went and hacked into a ship and stopped the ship, they would notice. Players can use this mechanic to try and disrupt NPC behaviors when they haven't been detected. No, this isn't it either. What did I just say? This isn't it either. I'm looking for, there was a point where they talked about perception and how AI would be blocked by doors and walls, but we won't spend any more time on that.
Really interesting, in terms of the type of mechanics and opportunities that it opens up for the players.
Yeah. Captain Rollveld, I don't know, says, won't Rest and Relax and others have CCTV recordings that they can watch later? I mean, in the fiction of the verse, yes, but it's a question of resources and development. Do we want to spend our time creating an internal CCTV system, then a place where NPCs are standing looking at it and watching it and reviewing it, or would we rather, get all the other things we need NPCs doing, working better? But radio communication, like what we're talking about, can stimulate those kinds of things and stuff. So I think we've addressed the need. There's a need to be able to communicate beyond what can immediately be seen or heard in certain situations. But when the time comes.
But they are like.
Can I get a mod on Twitch chat, please?
It's correct, right?
Yeah.
It's like you want to simulate some of those things, not necessarily like in that type of details, but they give you the impression that you have
Exactly.
that stuff.
You don't actually build a CCTV system and then
Exactly.
have NPCs there watching monitors and perception qualities. What are they seeing, stuff like that. But there are ways to
give you that type of feeling that the gameplay will resemble that.
Yeah. What's next? Will there be a system for NPCs dropping their guns and surrendering if they are in a situation where they clearly cannot win? Surely they would value their lives, right? That's the question. What you got?
Wait, hold on. Sorry, I missed that.
But time comes, seen or heard in certain situations. But
This is correct.
Can I get a mod in
You want to
Twitch chat? We've
simulate
got
some of those
spam.
things, not necessarily like in that type of details, but they give you the impression that you have
exactly.
that stuff.
You don't actually build a CCTV system and then
Exactly.
have NPCs there watching monitors and perception qualities. What are they seeing? So but there are ways to
give you that type of feeling that the gameplay will resemble that.
Yeah. What's next? Will there be a system for NPCs dropping their guns and surrendering if they are in a situation where they clearly cannot win. Surely they would value their lives, right? That's the question. What you got?
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Andrew.
You'll start.
Yeah, this is something that we've already worked on for Squadron. Definitely surrendering.
Right?
Dang it, I'm sorry, guys.
Win. He's dropping their guns and surrender. What's next? Will there be a system for NPCs dropping their guns and surrendering if they are in a situation where they clearly cannot win? Surely they would value their lives.
Yeah, don't call my wife babe, buddy. That's no.
What you got?
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Andrew.
You'll start.
Yeah, this is something that we've already worked on for Squadron. Definitely surrendering. We definitely need a little bit more polish on all of the states that it's got for them. So civilians, people without weapons, should immediately run away and cower and hide. And then if they're a combatant, then they should, and they run out of ammo, then they will look for other ammo if there's any available, and after that they should run away and hide until there's basically no combatants left in the current fight situation. And when that happens, then they can go into this surrender behavior where you will either be able to do another stealth takedown or restrain them. One of the things that we haven't actually got some of that flow in Star Citizen, because with the AI at the moment you have infinite ammo, and that the reason for that is because we've got the option to not have infinite ammo, but it does require rebalancing quite a lot of the missions to put in ammo crates so that they've got the right amount of ammo to be able to do that. But it's definitely something that's there.
The loadouts as well for the existing. So basically, that's the process that we will go through, right? I think there's also like the fact that obviously when they will drop their weapons if they surrender, as I'm not sure would ask the question, but what was mentioned. And basically I think what they will also do is, like, if you let them stay there, surrender, then you give, you go far away enough, then they might also try to find back some guns and, start fighting.
Yeah, start fighting again.
Yeah.
Don't leave them unattended.
Exactly. So if you leave, if there are enemies and you leave them, just in the surrender state, that you don't restrain them, as you said, and then the other NPCs can also unrestrain them if they find them.
See, this was my terror.
Try to revive them. So this is all the flow that we do.
This is my worst nightmare when it comes to stealth games, like Splinter Cell. When I used to play that, and they would be like, you'd knock all the people out. And it'd be like, you can kill them and they won't get back up. And I'd be like, yeah, but I don't want to kill them. I'm not evil. So you leave them knocked out. And then for the rest of the time, you're like, oh God, what if that guy gets up? What if he wakes up? And now they're trying to tell me in this game that they will. No. I don't. I don't want that. I don't need that. I'm never going to do stealth if they say that kind of stuff. Joy of Boomers. I don't. It's all good. You're good. You're fine. I was just asking not to say that. Love the name, by the way. Back to this.
Yeah, but you don't yet all see that in Star Citizen per se. It's quite interesting to see when it's going to be there. And you guys will enjoy and will give us feedback.
We'll enjoy, they say.
All right. Nope. No, sorry. I was just trying to coughing fit in the middle of your thing. I was just trying not to distract you. So I was trying to not cough. Ah, it's all right. If I have to go, make it listening to Fran. All right, I'm good.
What time frame are we talking about with AI? Well, this is stuff, at least I'm pretty sure, I kind of was like in and out of that answer, but this is the stuff that they were showing us at CitizenCon. So this is probably the kind of stuff that we'll see in the next, what episode, where was it? Here? Life in the First Person? Yeah, here we go. So
different training level that they detect with shows with just exception to no can the guy he can if where two factions are fighting.
Yeah, so it's like this kind of
you
stuff,
will see that at the right time when the guy retreats, this guy can go there and heal his mate. And obviously, he needs to pick up a new weapon because he just dropped it.
And then this, I think is what he's talking about here.
So what we have to do right now is that, first of all, we want NPCs to have a concrete ammo pool to use. We don't want infinite ammos anymore. So the ammo pool is actually constructed by the ammos the NPC carrying their weapons, the one that they carry, the one that might have, and all the magazines they carry. They don't have any more bullets out of that. So NPC must properly use those items to fight. And the longer the engagement, the more likely it is they will run out of bullets and they will have to scavenge the environment. How do they do that? It's through the NPC, the usable system, as you've seen with Ines as well, Ines' presentation. You see that anything the player can interact with, the NPCs actually can, the same exact way.
Let's just skip forward a little bit here.
Well, them a chance to go and loot as well. And this is a proper ammo crate that allows them to get back magazines. And another NPC arrives, and he will loot the dead body. This is the same dead body you might be able to loot.
So this isn't like far out stuff. They showed us this here. I've seen it in the game. At least I think I've seen it. I killed an AI that looked like it was going to heal its teammate, and I don't know if it was going to, but people have said they've seen this stuff in the game. So I think this is part of the AI advancements they made this month, and it's not some far out thing. They're implementing it as we go. You knock someone out, either someone is going to discover the unconscious person and raise the alarm, or the unconscious person wakes up and raises the alarm. Sure, but like there is the whole idea that you're supposed to hide a body, yeah, and they won't find it, and that allows you to remain unseen. But what if you knock someone out, hide it in a place where, like, you know, the game tells you can hide it, but then that person wakes up and gets out? Is that possible? Is that what you're telling me, CIG? They need to develop first quantum compute AI streaming first. No, this stuff's in game, folks. I have a list here that I keep, that I'm updating. With the things that they said they were going to come in the 12 months from CitizenCon. And here are the things that are already in game. Like, they're not just announcing this stuff and not adding it. Here's all the stuff they said for this next half, so we'll see if that happens. But it's happening. In gameware, like now, like I said, people have been seeing NPCs looting for ammo and trying to heal each other. I think somebody said they got looted by an NPC at one point. I don't know. I haven't confirmed that, but I've seen NPCs looking like they were going to heal other characters, and then I murdered them. So maybe it's incomplete. Maybe it's only halfway implemented, but the Squadron 42 AI update they did in December has definitely added some functionality to them. Cyberpunk did it where the bodies never wake up, and you prefer it that way? Oh, you prefer it the other way with the timer. I see.
Yeah, I'm good. Okay.
I can talk at it. You know.
Is this a demonstration of the AI reviving behavior? We're gonna come in and
somebody go to Jared.
Ooh. No, I just
med pan.
I wasn't even. I'm just sitting here, and all of a sudden, it's like the whole respiratory system's like, nope. All right. At least it brought more color to my face. Nav mesh. Let's talk about nav mesh. When nav mesh was first introduced,
oh my god,
and I'm just reading the question.
Nav mesh. Man, I was so excited for nav mesh, and it's just not progressed very far. I was really thinking that we were going to see more NPCs outside of bunkers. That's always been a big surprise to me.
Here, it felt like low-hanging fruit would be to add patrolling AI at the surface entrance to existing bunker sites.
Oh, look.
But this never happened.
Yeah.
Does planetary nav mesh not apply to existing asset or mission locations?
I think it's a combination of stuff, right? So I think, yes, it does apply to all the locations. So the way it works right now, and we're finishing to extend the last bit that we are missing. But basically, whenever you go on a planet, it will just generate a mesh on specific restraint. There are some constraints right now, and this is what we are trying to remove, that it would generate across the whole, the full surface of the planet. But the issues, this is the combination with the behavior. So what you need to build these outposts with the, for example, the guard behaviors, the security behaviors. You need to have the information about what does it mean patrolling, for example. So what this usually works is this pipeline that we are finishing to enforce, and the structure that we want to build for the new outpost, and from there we apply to the old ones as well, is that we want to have all this information based on this also connects with the population manager that we want to build, how we populate the environment automatically based on what can be done, and so on and so on. But the idea is, like, when you want to have a guard, right, the guards can have for example, right now the securities can have multiple things that they can do. They could guard a location, they could patrol, they could react in specific ways, and so on and so on. To do so, it requires to be spawned, and it requires for the designer to explain what we want from the guards. Otherwise, they will try to see if they find a patrolling path that is similar to what you guys see is in the UGF, when the enemies, they kind of run a sort of similar guard behaviors. They try to find a patrolling path in the UGF, and they go around, or if they don't find it, they try to move around here and there. This is what you usually see, and I think the moving random is the one that I personally hate the most, because obviously it doesn't really sell what they're trying to do, right? It's the one that my classic sentence is, if they're trying to do some random stuff, that's what they will sell. They will say that they're doing random stuff. It's not going to be really interesting. And this is, I think, why you guys feel that some of the situations don't have this guard patrolling. It's just because basically the environment is not yet out there to sell the right experience, right? Some of the old ones, but the match is there. You can fight with those guys, and they will fight with you, and so on and so on. Obviously, we are aware of some of the problems that are there, that you guys are experiencing in some situations. For example, we have been looking at polishing some of the experience right now when you go on some specific outposts where there are neutral faction where you can kill them. There are, like, some edge cases on what's allowed and what's not right now. For example, what does it mean when you can kill from a mission perspective somebody that is neutral? Are the other guys supposed to still react to you or go on with their lives because they know there are some criminals around them, and bounty hunters are gonna come and just kill them because that's the bounty they want, right? So unless you bother the other ones, the guys don't get bothered. And these all stuff that we are iterating, and with Star Citizen being in development game, and constantly updated games, sometimes you get partial version of that one, right? And there are still a bit of things that they're not very nice from our perspective either, right? But I think it's nice that you guys can start to experience what we want to have eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think basically, like, we can have it from tech perspective. That's what you will all have. We've been improving a lot of the navigation links as well. Right now, for example, we've been getting the full support for ladders, the new ladder systems that the actor team has also been working on, so that we can fully have AIs using ladders, using airlocks, and all these additional things that allow the AI, for example, to leave an outpost and go on the planet as well, right? This is exactly
that's kind of the big thing, is like they can just walk. So even if we have these, you see these AI that they've got finally walking around on the ground, but all they do is walk. It's funny because they don't even walk in this area. They can't do anything else. They can't go through doors or go up ladders or get on a ship or any of this stuff. I mean, they do get on a ship, but it's also bare minimum that I get what he's saying. It's not worth putting them out there, but man, some of these locations are truly boring. And like one of the things that they did, one of the dumbest things that they ever did in this game, and I know they did it because they had the asset ready. They probably made it for Squadron or something, and they just wanted to give it to us as well. But one of the just dumbest things we ever saw in this game were these, I don't think I have it here. These turrets they made. You guys know these turrets they've made, and they put them outside the outposts? They're like the chain, I don't know if they're chain gun turrets, but like they're basically LMGs on a little stand. And they're just there to shoot at nothing because there's no NPCs outside and there's no ships that land there. And I'm just like, y'all, this was around that time period where it just didn't feel like they had as much of a cohesive direction with development. It's not perfect, but we were just getting some random stuff at the time. That came around the same time as the cargo trolleys, which nobody has ever used for anything other than murdering themselves.
The planet navigation mesh going the same structure of the regular exported NAM mesh, because then all these other systems work out of the box. You can do all this stuff, right? You can land a ship and have people leave the ship.
I do. You included this. Why does Miss Babbage have NPC reactions to weapons and violence? You put this in there. I didn't put this in here.
Yeah, I wrote
She does
that down.
cower.
It's the hologram, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, this is the funny part because those things are actually running behaviors, right? So sometimes if you select, basically, I think it's going to be interesting like, to explain a bit how these things works, right? We have what we call a master graph. And the master graph is basically the flow of behaviors or activities. So, for example, when we have an NPC that moves around and sits on a ship, then he knows how to run Diego's behavior, right? When he fights, when he sees an enemy, he knows that he's like, oh, I'm on a ship, I'm sitting, on a piloting ship. So if I see an enemy, that's how I fight. If I'm on the ground, that's how I fight. And in every of those states, he knows to which, what are the things that are interesting, for him to react to. So there are special master graph for a specific situation like this one where you don't want them to react because they're not real characters. But if you just set up those and you set them up as regular characters, then they will also react to those sort of things, right? And in addition to that, I think some of you guys had like some really nice Reddit posts on this one as well. They were like the reacting, for example, to a med pen and getting scared, or reacting to the multi-tool and getting scared, right? It's because obviously some of these things, maybe, we have a fix on the Squadron branch and didn't get it into Star Citizen in time because, we didn't know this at the right time when, before it gets released, when it's in PTU and so on and so on. And I think obviously there is these things that we want to expand such that designers can define exactly what is threatening, right? Because in theory, maybe the multi-tool can be threatening. It could damage you, right? If you use it with specific modes. Should they know it? Should they not react when you have, I don't know, just a med pen in their hands? Yeah, probably should not freak out if you just aim at them with the med pen. But maybe they should have, if you have the multi-tool enabled with the cutting tool, then that one should be dangerous for other characters and should be worried. But like, should they be worried if you're just carrying a gun lowered? Well, that might depend on jurisdiction, right? So there are some levels of polishing that we're still working on it. Because I would imagine like if you're in Empire with the gun lowered, well, it's kind of accepted there. But if you go around New Babbage with the gun lowered, it's still not accepted. It should still be scary for people to see you, having a gun in your hands.
Yeah. At the same time, though,
Does that get you in trouble, though?
I desperately want to go and pitch to the mission team some bad actor that hacks the Miss Babbage program and turns her into a Terminator.
Exactly.
And has her attacking people and going wild like a rogue AI, attacking people. The Siege of New Babbage, where it's just everybody versus a malevolent Anna. I know she'd
Maybe
be. I know she'd
have
be
a
game for it.
holographic weapon, and that's why she's scared, because she's running away from something that only can damage holograms.
I know Anna would be.
So
down. We'll
those
see.
new Volt weapons, they only shoot into you guys. Gosh, can we just take a moment, please, to admire those new Volt weapons? It's funny though. Have you ever seen it? The hologram is pretty spot on for just a real person cowering from guns. You just like walk up to this hologram that's supposed to answer your questions, and she's like, oh my god, please, somebody has a gun out. But here's what these Volt weapons used to look like, or at least I guess what they do look like, back when they introduced us to them 2 years ago, and we never got to actually try them out. And then we finally got to see it at CitizenCon this last year, and I think it's really cool. I don't know about y'all, but weapons with different firing modes are much more interesting to me than other things. I think I actually should be staying here. Yeah, here it is.
It's the other video.
This thing is sick. All right. So here's what a dev said this should sound like. Tell me how close this is.
So it's gonna start out being like a projectile shooting weapon as you start firing. It will then evolve into a beam. So it'll start out with a tug, 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 where you have the beam, and it also has the potential or the.
Honestly, I think they should have just used that, like put that into the game for the sound effects. All right,
So
let's see what it sounds
Vault
like
is
here.
primarily based around controlling a heat of a weapon. These weapons have the potential
Hey,
to
that's pretty spot on. I hear it. I can hear it.
overheat. And if they overheat, you will be unable to fire. And they will enact differently. So some weapons will just basically be beams from the get-go. Some will go into beams. Like, see, this one goes into a beam once it reaches a certain level of heat. And it's really fun because, you know, these are quite powerful weapons, and you basically want to manage the heat and, you know, keep it in that, like, ideal spot. Okay, cool. And
Oh, that
scope
gun's
improvements.
sick. Sorry. Distractions. Love them.
Let's see how badly the mission team laughs at me. They don't laugh at me so.
It's nice to add this question here from my perspective because it's kind of interesting. Like, if when I was just playing games before joining the industry, these are the type of things that I would really be interested in knowing why they happen, right? And how behind the scene things work. I don't know.
Yeah, well, AI is. I think we've talked about this before. There's you know, obviously there are a lot of buzzwords around Star Citizen stuff, fidelity and whatever.
Immersion.
Immersion is one of those forever ones. You know, immersion informs everything we try to do, regardless of what it is. But whereas immersion is this sensation that's built by everything around you. It's built by the quality of the art. It's built by the fidelity of the VFX and stuff like this. AI is one of those. Is I don't know. It's got this special place in this because we can accept. We've all played video games going back to the N64, to the Super Nintendo, to the Atari 2600, like various levels of graphics and stuff. We can suspend our disbelief easy with bad graphics or stuff like this. But when characters behave the way we don't expect them to, that's one of the biggest things that pull us out of it. It's always interesting to me that
it's got to be the biggest thing about the game too. I mean, stability isn't great. We all fall through floors and just the inventory doesn't work sometimes. Star map is trash. Like, there are things that kind of suck with the game, but right now I think the biggest thing that would help Star Citizen would be having AI that make it feel like you're actually alive, because we have this amazing star system, 4 planets, 12 moons, tons of space stations, hundreds of spaceships, all these people flying around. But at the end of the day, you get to a city and it feels like a ghost town. And I think that would help a ton if AI was in a better place. Full on agreement, Jared. Let's see it.
Everything that contributes to immersion, and everything does. There's probably nothing that does so more, that's more critical to a true sense of immersion than the AI. How do you? We're nearing the time. We've got some time for some more questions, but how do you guys deal with that responsibility? Am I right? Am I talking out of my ass right now? If I'm like, no, it's not important to immersion. Am I right? And if it is, how do you deal with that pressure in your work?
I think there's lot. I think you definitely are right, and I think there's a lot of things there. One is that we are bringing together lots of different game systems. So we're working with all of those things. We're working with the graphics, we're working with animation, we're working with VFX, we're working with the sound design and all of those things. So it's a nexus point for a lot of other people's tech to all make it work. But also, you're right that you can notice things in gameplay a lot when you don't forgive somebody not doing the right thing a lot more than in a lot of systems. And I think a big part of that is kind of telegraphing what the AI is doing in the right way, making understandable choices, and that's one of the things we've seen with the issues with AI is not reacting in the bugs that we've been fixing recently, is that not necessarily that they thought they were doing the right behavior, but because it wasn't understandable and readable to the player, that that it looks wrong and immediately looks wrong, no matter how clever that behavior might be. And so that's definitely something that we've been working on a lot. And one of the areas where we're kind of focusing on is you code your AI for a kind of very known situation, and then designers and level artists and all of these people come up with wonderful ways to test these things in situations you hadn't imagined when you
Sorry,
first
folks.
started writing the code. And so one of the things we've been working on a lot is adding in lots of fallback cases. So, oh, what if I don't have a nav mesh in this particular situation? What should I do instead? What if I have no target, but there's this person who's shooting at me in front of me, and that can react to kind of maybe not necessarily bugs, but other little mishaps in a much more sensible, readable way that's understandable to the player, and that gives that much more that you're not going to notice so much, and you're going to sometimes think that they sometimes we go the opposite way, and they seem to be too efficient, and they can be attacking the player too often, and oh no, they know too much, so you've got to dial it back again. So it's it's a delicate balancing act.
What are you saying, Andrew, there about being them?
One of these days, I'm going to have to go back through the last few years of these monthly reports, strip out all of these AI segments, and try to put together a video that talks about the AI they've built. Because it's hard to compile it all in one place. There's just so much that they've done, and it all accounts to little tiny things that add up to something that sounds really, really smart. Let's see. Like this paragraph is talking about how NPCs can now figure out if their targets are in ships or not, and engage in combat with those targets. In combination with something else that they mentioned earlier, where NPCs can either decide they know which weapon they have in their hands and they know how it affects things, or they can go pick up a weapon they need. That means that NPCs can be smart enough to know they need a railgun to take out a ship and do that. And I think that's pretty powerful in a game where there's so many different options. It's not like every person that comes up to this NPC is going to come from the same direction. They're not going to come at the same time. Maybe they come in the dark and the NPC can't see the ship. Maybe they turn their ship off early so the NPC can't hear the ship. Like, there's all these little things they're building in. And if they work systemically like they've planned, it should create a lot of different gameplay opportunities. Here's that audio perception thing. NPCs can hear any sound if they are at the right distance. Now, the hearing component and audio map use the volume of the sound at its source and then calculate the strength of the audio received by the listener. This is used inside the perception component to influence the perception meter based on how strongly the sound is perceived. The new extension allows designers to create multiple curves to describe the influence of different audio sematics. For example, explosions have a different influence than footsteps. Each audio stimulus also has a different maximum value it can push the perception meter to. So like they're also specifying certain types of sounds, weights of sounds, all these little tiny things I think do add up to a successful AI program that we just haven't been able to see come together yet. Ken, you getting out of here too? Catch you later, man. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you for chatting. Happy holidays, my friend. I hope you had a good time today.
That's something that when we were making the Fly AI, I was playing with Yogi, the player experience team, and we were learning how we were playing against each other. And I came up with a prototype, right? And the first prototype that I made, I think my AI just destroyed them all. It was too good. And it's those things that is sometimes a hit and miss, and we keep playing to making sure that it actually feels good. Not as good as being a killing machine, but good enough that it's a good challenge.
Yeah, but Yogi's not that good though. But they killed him, or they killed you?
I mean, we can't say he's not here, right? We can say it clearly, right?
Yeah, he knows. I mean, there's no secrets between us and Yogi. Yogi's bad.
I think,
but don't say that to him, okay?
No. I mean, we keep it only for us three.
Only for
right
us.
now.
Yeah,
us three and Jared. Basically, that's just where he stays.
Just putting teams on Do Not Disturb right now.
Did you get already a message?
Oh, I'm not here. I'm not here yet.
So I can see. But I think like in addition to that, I think like basically I think one important thing is like, I think we do feel the pressure of trying to give this experience to the players, right? And I think we do want. I think what's hard in development, and I think this is where the reality sometimes comes into place that you need to choose between sometimes focusing on the long term goal or the short term goal, right? So you know that some bugs might be also things that you might fix later because you have it planned. And obviously from the way we develop the game and the way we share the game is that you often can see much more than what players would usually see in a normal development flow, right? That is like you do it in closed doors for so long and then you only see when things are working well. So from us, I think there's also sometimes the frustration of saying like, I wish I could have just cleaned up this a bit better or been focusing more on this other bug or this other experience that Andrew was saying, or the balancing that Diego is also talking about, right? And I think obviously we do have the great advantage on the other side that is that you guys can experience stuff that is not finished, and we can get much earlier some of the feedback. And yes, some stuff might already be in planned, but some other stuff might actually be really good to get that feedback, right? And the type of changes that we can push based on stuff that we might have not considered. So I think that there are advantages and disadvantages as well, but it's definitely good to have this opportunity from our perspective as well.
Okay. We got 5 minutes. There are 3 more questions I want to squeeze in, if you don't mind going a few minutes long. I'm asking you live on screen, so you can't say no without sounding like a jerk. The first question comes from Randprint in the chat. Will we ever see NPCs riding trams ever again?
Yes.
No.
We do have that functionality in. We need to bring it to Star Citizen as well. We need to make sure that all the setup is correct for all the trams that we have. But basically, the NPCs can understand transits. They can understand to wait for the transit to arrive, and they can use it to travel from two locations that are existing. Or another approach that we want to use for the transit is also as a sort of swan closets. When population needs to come in and out of the environment, we can use them to stream in and out NPCs out of the environment, and all the basic tech is there, basically. Yes.
Okay. Second question. This goes a bit to the balancing. So obviously, we talked about making NPCs too capable. That's all there, like in the moment and stuff. There's a couple questions in this list. I'm just going to combine them into one that has to do with NPCs being able to use technology, things like radar scanning and stuff like that. How do you? What's the process for? What's the progress for that? Can or do AI use scanners to see through walls or radar to detect ships from far away? Do they have access to the same technologies that the players do? And if so, how the hell do you balance that?
So in terms of radar, yeah, I can speak for the ships, but yes, the AI just uses the radar component as the one that the players uses in the ship. So the AI just got those. Depending on the ship that the AI is flying, it have those radar capabilities based on the balance of that ship.
I want to use the same on FPS.
Gosh, that's complicated.
There would be characters, obviously.
So, like, if you have an AI who's not very smart, does that mean that they wouldn't use the ship to its fullest functionality? Oh my gosh, what if you have a ship that's only got AI on it? Like, jeez.
For the traits that we've spoken about, and the fact that they do have, like, in their loadouts or these items. First,
These guys have like a challenge ahead of them. I feel like maybe they don't. There's just so much that I have to consider with all this AI using all these different systems.
For example, if we keep an FPS characters with the radar, we can also decide from design perspective if they want them to use it or not. First of all, obviously the ship is a bit special because ship versus ship, you have to use the radar, but basically the perception system from the eye can be extended on the different senses, as we call it. The radar is one sense, and the behavior has already specific nodes that allow them, for example, to ping through the radar. And the other thing that we want to do is to react to be pinged. And also in that case, basically it depends. First, you will react if you are pinged. If you do have a radar that notifies you of being pinged, and we can also say like maybe there are some easier missions, or with the balance of the gameplay flow that we want, that we can say that okay, but those guys should not react to be pinged, but they should be able to ping, so that you can also have an experience where we can also use the AI to train, because this is the other part of game mechanics that is important, right? You want to use the AI to also teach mechanics to the player. So you can say, okay, now we make you a mission where the AI can ping you, but you are safe to ping yourself, so they can still kind of learn that mechanics. And there, as the player, we use the exact same item. So the AI can say, want to ping very quick, I want to ping very long so that can be detected. And we can absolutely control this one. And what this does, it just updates your perception. So that I can basically know the snapshot of your position from that. And we don't really cheat on the eye perception, right? So
what he's explaining is like when you're scanning this game, when you send out a scan wave, it'll tell other people when it hits them that they've been scanned. He's basically saying if you send out a ping, we're going to make it so that AI can either respond or not respond in order to teach you how that would work. I believe that's what he's saying. Come on.
You have the vision, audio, radar sense, and pinging updates, basically.
And I think there are several levels of that as well with the AI. That one of the levels is, oh, well, they'll just know that they've been pinged. And so they'll change alertness status and maybe go hunt for you. And another one, and the higher up level, is that they will be able to kind of pinpoint where you are and immediately go to you and go like, oh, I've been detected.
Last question, and then
Brigadier. Hey, how you doing?
And I'm going to do one more thing after that because it's my show and it's the last one of the year. Last question, and you put this in here, so it's your fault. Friend, you were at CitizenCon. As we were waiting to start the first day, a not insignificant amount of people in the audience decided to stand up on their chairs and T-pose. You've been doing this for a while now with Star Citizen. How does that make you feel when you see that? Is this something you can laugh at? Is this something that drives you crazy?
I know. I think it's the joke that we need to take, right, on our way. But also, I know that the community is always, very supportive with us and stuff like this. And I think, as we explained, I think the staying in the chair is kind of a fun one because, similar to the slow reaction in some situations, is that there are bugs that people perceive as one bug, but often those are caused by a lot of different issues that you might fix one and then
I've talked about this one a few times,
and then there's another issue that comes in, right? That can be setup issues. It could be a change on the server mesh that we just made, and now the value of the chair that you should be sitting in, it doesn't get restored correctly, and this is where you see it. Majority of the time that we see right now, right, is due to the streaming in and out, that when they restore, they don't connect correctly for different reasons.
Oh my God, my eyes!
Last known usables that were attached to, and this could be maybe because get stream out in the way of attaching to the usable, so it's just attached. It didn't get stored that value in, and we need to reproduce that one and make sure that one doesn't happen again, and so on and so on. I even had a certain moment some code that was actually meant to repatch all the situations so you would not see it. But my take is
his camera's got like anti-shake going on. He's making it feel like my eyes are cheese.
In time for the
cheese eyes.
It's more important that we figure out and we found all those bugs and all those edge cases compared to hide them just to, show necessarily always the good experience. And obviously, yes, we want to have you the good experience, but we want to be the real experience, right? Because if we hide right now a bug, it might bite us back later on in a really hard way because we didn't, fix it properly at this time. So I think
T-pose becomes this big flag. Hey, there's something here that you need to address.
Exactly.
You could turn it off.
Actually, it's also fun that I think people also connect a lot this standing on the chair with the T-pose, but they're not necessarily connected. Sometimes I think the T-pose, I see it, we still have some situations where you see it moving from far T-posing, because there are some issues that we have, for example, right now we
the distant T-pose,
some of the guys
T-posing from yonder.
Well, it was looking at some situation where the lightweight update was called in the wrong moment. You know, and we're investigating that, and I think this is where we see the depose. It means something is not updating on the character animation side, right? For different reasons. It might be, you know, they get stuck in some state on on the mannequin side that doesn't update, or there's some animation wrong set up, or the actor thinks, you know, the actor code thinks there's not updating, or the eye is playing wrong animation. So you might see the poses in this situation, but not necessarily connected with the standing. You know, so you see sometimes standing and they just took their movie glass because they're just idling and so on.
Yeah. And you wouldn't want to change it, like Chad is sitting here saying, well, you could just change the default thing to be sitting, but that would hide the problem. And then we wouldn't find the, that's what I was saying. It's the standing on chairs, the T-pose, is the big flag that tells you there's something that needs to be fixed. So if you hide it by changing the default to be something that is less conspicuous, then these bugs just persist and they just
And I think there is one thing that is also important, Reed, because it's that internally in our builds, this is not that simple to reproduce.
What's up, Deja?
It's really hard for our QA guys to actually make guys standing on the chair internally. This is why it's so important for us to also have it live as a final effect, because if we don't find it there, it's really hard to reproduce it internally as well. I think some of this combination is low FPS with the streaming in, you know, is really like stressing out the servers and the code, so that, you know, we can figure out when things are still broken in some situations.
Okay. Well, that's it for the questions, guys. Congratulations. Thank you for doing this. Before I let you go, I want to pitch you on one thing. I want to pitch you something. So we talk about all these AI attributes. I wasn't planning this. This just came up during the show. The good, bad, lazy, whatever. Say this. I mean, obviously, occasionally you want to sprinkle in like a red baron, just a super ace who pops up every once in a while and can just obliterate everybody. I want to pitch you the opposite end of the red baron. I want to pitch you the guy or gal who completely lied on their resume, who has no business being there, who's never picked up a P4 before, just the random mercenary who's like, I shouldn't be here. I answered a job ad. I don't want to fight anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. Just basically my producer Dave of people who would just stand there like, I don't know what's going on. As an attribute.
I think it's a really good idea. You can go and hide in the engine room or something.
So I'll send this suggestion to Zach right now.
Yeah.
How do you want to call that trait?
Yeah. Yes. You just call it David.
David.
You just call it David. If you need his last name, I'll let you know. But it's just the absolute. I don't want to do any of this. It's just I don't know what's going on. Why is this happening to me? I'm not even supposed to be here today. It should be rare. Just like the red baron's going to be rare. It should be like the rarest thing, because it's going to look like a mistake. But it's like, no, the mistake was you being there, you being involved. It's a Destroy David week. Did I tell you? Did you look at the card? Or Crush David? It's a Crush David. We have a schedule and we have a card for this week. It's Crush David. He didn't realize this was Crush David week. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time out of the end of your week to be here. Enjoy your holidays, and thanks everybody. Thanks, guys.
Everybody.
There's supposed to be a video clip of what he's describing, but I can't find it.
Let them wave. Bye, everybody. Bye, guys.
Bye. Happy holidays.
All right. No, we're not rating yet. I was just
found it. All right. Y'all keep enjoying. Get your raid on. Here it is. This is the AI he was just talking about. This guy on the right side. This is footage they showed us back in 2018 where they were showing us previs kind of concepts of what they wanted their FPS AI to look like in terms of archetypes. So on the left you have somebody who's kind of trained but still pretty nervous. On the right you have somebody who is not very trained. And in the distance you have a clear security. That person shoots okay, this person does not shoot well. And then that guy over there, he shoots great. He knows what he's doing. He's all on top of his stuff. And then coming up here shortly, these guys move, and you see some folks with much more skill take over. Obviously, higher level NPCs. Different traits. And that's just like like I said, that's previs, you know, that's a concept that they showed us in 2018, but then you jump forward to this,
Characteristics NPCs have or don't
and you can
have.
see that they've expanded these kinds of concepts out, and they're now trying to show them off a little bit more during these firefights. These little demos that they put on during CitizenCon gave us a decent look into some of these different archetypes and how they actually work. So the idea here is there are different types of fighters. There are people who are keeping their distance. Some of them are trying to flank. Some of them are pushing much harder. They all kind of seem to be fighting pretty similar, so you don't notice that difference in how they carry themselves that we were noticing. But I imagine over time you'll start to catch it. And I'm guessing these people also don't have as much variation as they actually want. This is just a CitizenCon demo. Luna Maria, thank you so much for the super chat, though. It is much appreciated. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you for the lovely holiday support. We appreciate the holiday streams. Happy to supply them. I won't be live on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or the 26th, but I may do a stream or two next week as well. So keep an eye out. Thanks for being here, though. Cheers to you. So yeah, this is just some of the AI specialization stuff they've shown us, and like clearly they've been doing work on it for quite a while. Star Citizen AI sprint report, I think, will also show us some of the maybe not so much combat oriented AI, because I know, you know, much like myself, many of you are more industrial focused, more interested in other things. Here's some demonstration of them doing more complex industrial kind of gameplay.
Cool. Another thing that we are doing, this is a lot for characters that they will eventually be also useful to hire, right? So these are NPCs that can actually systemically take boxes, crates, and load them into your ship, load it into a trolley, and then use the trolley to move it. So as you see here, there's really like some cool features we worked on. First, all those things are usables. They actually pick up the boxes. They understand how to pick it up. They slot it into the trolley, so they understand that now there are different actions that they can do just because the crate is attached. So there are different metrics that we calculate for where you can put the box on. So right now, for example, the NPC understands that you need to put it on top of another box that is put on the trolley. This is all our slotting functionality, basically. It's like a usable is attached to another usable, gets slotted into that based on our description, and then they can basically use that. As you see, there is still that bug that I just recently fixed, so you will not see it anymore. Eventually, at least sometimes they walk on the spot. But like the character now understands that the trolley is full, and now he can unload the trolley and place it into some specific locations, so this eventually will be really useful for allowing an NPC to load and unload your ship.
Oh yeah, cargo elevators, big time. What are the green cylinders around the trolley?
So there are two things. The taller one, that one is what we call alignment slots. So it's where the NPC needs to be to perform a specific operation on the object that is on that location. And the small one are enter position. So that is where the actual animation start to arrive to the location of the alignment slot. And when it becomes red, it's because it's reserved and it's in usage in that moment, basically.
I feel like that's too tall to stack those boxes.
Yeah, you can do three. You can stack 3 boxes one on top.
Don't be picky, Jared. Give us our stacked boxes.
That we also have that they,
And this is showing some like. We just talked about how they can't really use elevators that well. This is kind of showing their ability to start to perceive that.
To another, now they understand this connection. So what we use as a transit manager, that is both elevators or actual transit, the transit carriages, basically create a potential link. That means that even if there is no mesh connection, the NPC knows that they can basically move from one floor to another. How to navigate to that floor comes from the movement plan. And in this case, you see that he understands there is a connection. He goes close to the elevator. He leaves the trolley. In this case, he presses the button. Once he presses the button, the elevator comes. He understands that the elevator is coming because then there is new navigation links that it will pop, as you see here. Goes in here. He leaves the trolley. He goes to the console on the side of the elevator that has like a little button. It's not super visible here, but there is like a little console there. Then these new links, the green ones, are basically connected to different zones, the elevator to the external zone. Then he can find a path here, understands that he needs to wait, and press the new button to go to the floor that he wants. And then basically the elevator tells us when we reach the right floor, because multiple people could be there. Also, the player could be there and pressing some other buttons, so the elevators could stop at different
they
floors.
move from one mesh to the other, the mesh to the...
And then they move to the next mesh, yes. As you see here, there are two things interesting. Here is the usage of the trolley, despite this little jiggling that you see, that, you know, this is one of the bugs that we're working on. But NPC now can actually use the trolley as the player would. They are really connect to that. They really use the state machine, correctly to push it around. And then they can also inject. These are big change that we've done in the past year. So basically, any dynamic path can get additional information from the environment. When we path through environment, we can actually understand, is that, oh, is the door closed? Should the door be pushed to, a button should be pushed for, being open? Is the door itself having this panel, or is the panel somewhere else? Right. Because we also have other situations, for example, where, you might turn off the light and the NPC understands that, right? And it needs to investigate. It's what we call, the distraction and for the NPCs, so they can resolve that, so they can understand that the light they've seen going off can be turned on from, a console somewhere in the level. So this is all like systemic, basically.
Yeah. So we do have to move on. We're a quarter of the way through the show already, and we're only on our second video. But I do have to ask.
All right, folks. I hope this was a little bit insightful, gave you some more knowledge of how AI works. I'm not gonna lie, I think that Star Citizen Live was a little bit dry, considering AI. We could have learned some interesting things about more of the specifics of AI. That would have been nice. Yeah, I think there are a few more other questions I would have had about like AI difficulty, and I guess virtual AI would have been a good one, but maybe they aren't as tuned in on that. Overall, I think we got some interesting information. I'll have to go back through that and watch it again because I was like back and forth all over the place during the show, but it seems to be more of the same. Like a lot of these teams have been working on a lot of stuff that has been held back, not only since PES, but also kind of before PES. Like if you think about it, PES has basically brought a lot of these teams to a standstill since the summer of 2022. It's a year and a half. And considering all of the stuff that kind of got into a good place by 2022, that's a lot of work sort of just stalled. And I'm not saying we're going to have, the dam's not going to break. It's not going to be like floods. But I do think that a lot of things are going to finish all at once. I won't call it a flood. It might be a faster than expected rush of water, we'll say. 3 days with no tea and tomato. You can always try tea and tomato naturally, but I don't think it's going to be quite as fun as these streams. A year, you wonder how much you imagine it will depend on their skill set, but you doubt it will break the bank. The NPC seems drunk. What do you all think? You think the AI in this game is going to be able to live up to what we need? Because it's a lot. Like, not even considering AI blades. Let's look at the I'm starting a video for supporters, and it's actually going over every single available role somebody could take in the game right now. It's also going to touch on some of the roles that don't exist yet. but mainly it's about the roles that are already in the game. And we've already got bounty hunter, FPS trooper, miner, salvager, pilot, courier, cargo hauler, medic, logistics. This would be people who are, moving boxes around. And engineer is not quite here yet, but 6 months, give or take. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 different roles, plus engineers 10, plus farming, hacking, navigations, the science person that, I don't know, researches stuff, drone operator. All of these things that we do are going to have to require a fully functional AI profile to also do. And then those profiles will also have different difficulties, their own wants and needs and desires that we can see here. See, like all of those here, they have them right here. Sentry, medic, gunner. And they'll have different jobs as well. Some of them will ignore fire. Some of them will have infinite ammo. Like all this stuff is making for a ton of variables they're going to have to fill in. Oh my lordy. AI just killed you, so it's not that dumb now. Or maybe you're dumb. Could be either. No dates. Did I give a date? Spare me. I have sinned. You can see players whose sole purpose is to abuse NPCs. Some people are gonna, some people like to bully folks, and after a while, players become too much of a nuisance, so NPCs make for a solid, easy target. But that's that. That's AI, our last AI update of the year, and honestly, our last update of the year. We won't be doing any real Star Citizen new news. Woo. Excuse me, y'all. Until late January. I want to say January 23rd, perhaps. Let's look at the calendar. The trusty calendar. Probably January 25th will be our first ISC back. So we've got a solid month right now of quiet. What we're probably going to do in January on streams here are do some reviews on previous year's stuff. We might do a ship update. Maybe we'll do something on building interiors. I'll figure something out. But our first half of January is going to be a lot of review and prepare for the next year. I have a couple videos out talking about why you should be hyped for the next year, and also why maybe you should be a little skeptical about the next year. And we'll just kind of continue to cover what's expected. And then with no such certainty as we did last year, because that kind of hurt, but with a lot more proof behind us from CitizenCon and since then. Doubt AI will ever meet the standards players are expecting. So do I. But yeah, that'll be it, folks. I want to thank you all, not just for coming to this stream, but for being a part of this all year. 2023 has been a pretty crazy, freaking nuts year. God. In Star Citizen, in real life, in the world itself. Oh man, it's nice that we can all just kind of come here and talk about a video game, depress a little bit, or depress, deflate? No, not deflate. Whatever the word is. Take a breath, hang out, get some good vibes, talk about a game we love, have some laughs. Every once in a while. I love that. So thank you all for joining me this year, 2023. 2953. We held the line. We finally saw Squadron 42. We finally saw server meshing decompress. There it is. Thank you, Formula. And I think we're headed into a better year. It gets better every year, in my opinion. Next year seems like it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, happy holidays, folks. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Oh, man. And, yeah. I did say I'm going to have only a couple of streams next week, probably, if we do any. We will definitely be doing our New Year's Eve stream, though. Me and Mrs. Tomato will be on here. Like you expect, like we do. We'll be celebrating 4 different times throughout the night with all of our friends here on the Discord. So if you want to come join us, have some party, drink some booze, have a joint maybe if you do that during New Year's. Come and have some fun with us. We'll be just flying around the verse and hanging out in Discord and kicking back and all the good times. So we'll talk more about the year in review at that point, how thankful and grateful we are. We'll let you guys know kind of what progress this channel has seen over this year. It's pretty cool. 2.5 years now we've been doing this seriously, and we are just now hitting about 76,000 subscribers across YouTube and almost 19,000 on Twitch. So we're getting close to that 100K mark. We'll be hitting it next year, and that should be fun. But we'll talk more about that later. Just wanted to hype y'all up a little bit because things are fun, things are cool. Star Citizen's about to take off too, I think. So it should be fun to see. Anyways, folks, I'm gonna send you all on to Zero State, who's having his streamathon, and I will catch you all in the not too distant future. Of course, come and see me on Discord if you'd like. Hit me and Mrs. Tomato up on Twitter, because we're always free for the shady comments and the good fun. And y'all have yourself a lovely weekend, a good Christmas, and happy holidays. Go have some fun. Have some horchata or eggnog or mulled wine or hot chocolate or something else extra yummy. Catch y'all later. Bye.